In a world where your awakened class decides almost everything about your future, Ethan Vale is about to receive the kind of result people spend their entire lives dreaming about the moment his awakening begins. A massive golden screen appears in front of everyone. Legendary. For a second, Ethan can barely believe it. A legendary class means money, status, powerful guilds fighting over you, and probably enough strength to never worry about normal life again. Ethan is already imagining how ridiculous his future is about to become. Then the system reveals the actual class, Dirt Digger, and his reward, a shovel. Ethan just stares at it, because somehow, the universe managed to put the word legendary next to manual labor. But the shovel isn't even the worst part. At the bottom of his class description is one restriction that completely destroys whatever hope he still had. Ethan cannot gain experience through combat, and in this world, that's basically a death sentence for your career. Everyone else gets stronger by entering dungeons, killing monsters, and collecting experience. Ethan apparently gets stronger by moving dirt. Naturally, the people around him think this is hilarious. It doesn't take long before the legendary Dirt Digger becomes the joke everyone remembers. Ethan tries ignoring them, but unfortunately, humiliation doesn't pay rent. His landlord makes that very clear when he shows up demanding money and reminds Ethan that having a legendary class means absolutely nothing if he can't actually earn anything with it. Now Ethan is sitting at home with a shovel, an almost useless class, and the very real possibility of getting thrown out of his apartment. At this point, he has one question. There has to be another way to level up, because there's no way a legendary class is actually this worthless. So instead of giving up, Ethan starts experimenting. And while working on a damaged wooden fence, something unexpected happens. The second he finishes the repair, the system activates. Civilization experience. +4. Ethan freezes. He didn't kill anything. He didn't complete a dungeon. He didn't even fight. He fixed a fence. And somehow, that gave him experience. That's when the frustration disappears and Ethan starts paying attention. Maybe his restriction wasn't saying that he couldn't level up. Maybe it was telling him he had been trying to level up the wrong way. So Ethan keeps building. He repairs structures. He restores damaged property. And before long, another notification appears. Level up. But this time, the system gives him something even more interesting. A new blueprint. Basic settlement core. Ethan stares at the holographic blueprint and finally starts realizing what his class really is. Dirt Digger may be the name everyone saw, but his power isn't simply digging holes. His experience is connected to construction. And if a small repair gives him experience, what happens if he builds something much bigger? That's when Ethan looks toward the abandoned outskirts beyond the city. Rows of destroyed buildings, collapsed homes, entire sections of land nobody wants. To everyone else, it's worthless ruins. To Ethan, it looks like the biggest pile of experience he's ever seen. So he makes a decision that looks completely insane. He goes straight to the land registry office and asks to purchase the abandoned village ruins. Every bit of it. Even the clerk doesn't understand why. The area has practically been written off. It's dangerously close to monster territory. Almost nobody lives there anymore, and rebuilding the place would cost more than the land is worth. The clerk practically laughs while approving the purchase. As far as he's concerned, Ethan just threw away the little money he had left. Ethan doesn't argue, because the clerk doesn't know what he knows. The moment Ethan reaches his new territory, the entire area responds to his class. Golden energy erupts from the ground. A massive construction structure forms behind him as the system recognizes his claim. And Ethan finally says what he's been thinking since he discovered the truth about his ability. He's going to build something worth living for. The system officially recognizes the territory as a village. Immediately, Ethan receives permanent stat increases simply for establishing it. Strength rises, agility rises, vitality rises, even intelligence and luck improve. Ethan can barely believe it. Other people risk their lives fighting monsters for small increases. He bought ruined land and became stronger just by turning it into a settlement. Then the system scans the surrounding territory. Water is available, stone is available, iron is abundant. The resources are already there. There's only one problem. The system shows Ethan the requirement for the next settlement level. Population. Ethan looks around his completely empty village. He owns land, he has resources, he can build homes, but right now he's basically the mayor of nobody. Then he remembers the people living in the slums outside the developed parts of the city. Families who can't afford proper housing. Workers nobody wants. People with weak classes. People society already decided weren't useful. If nobody else wants them, Ethan does. So he heads into the slums carrying his shovel and makes them an offer. Come live on his land. At first, nobody trusts him. And honestly, why would they? A stranger walks into one of the poorest districts in the city claiming he owns a safe settlement and wants everyone to follow him into monster territory. One father immediately calls him out. Safe. The place Ethan bought is famous for being ruins. To them, this sounds like another scam aimed at people desperate enough to believe anything. But Ethan doesn't get angry. He simply shows them the blueprint. He promises them food. He promises them shelter. And more importantly, he asks for one chance to prove he's telling the truth. Some of them finally agree. And the second they arrive, Ethan starts building. The settlement system activates a residential blueprint. Golden energy surrounds the construction site as new homes rise from the ruined ground. For people who had been sleeping in collapsing buildings and temporary shelters, seeing an actual neighborhood appear in front of them feels impossible, and Ethan welcomes them home. The settlement grows faster than anyone expected. Soon, Ethan reaches 50 residents. The system responds immediately. Village upgraded. But then Ethan unlocks something he wasn't expecting. Territory Guardian bonus. His combat stats are doubled while protecting his territory. Ethan looks at the notification, confused. Why would a construction class need doubled combat abilities? Then a howl echoes from the forest, and Ethan suddenly understands. A large pack of monsters begins moving toward the village. The residents panic as wolves pour through the darkness. There are far too many for normal civilians to handle. Most people would run. Ethan doesn't. He stands directly in the entrance with the same shovel everyone laughed at when he awakened. If the monsters want to hunt someone, they're gonna have to go through him first. The wolves charge. And this is when Ethan learns just how ridiculous his Territory Guardian bonus actually is. The first monster leaps toward him. Ethan swings. The wolf gets launched away. Another attacks. Ethan sends that one flying too. Then another, and another. The villagers watch from behind the defenses as the supposedly useless dirt digger starts beating monsters down with construction equipment. Even Ethan looks surprised by his own strength. But once he realizes the bonus is working, fear turns into confidence. Now he's practically inviting the next monster to attack. One wolf gets slammed into the ground. Another gets sent crashing away. And after the final monsters fall, Ethan looks across the bodies and makes something very clear. This territory belongs to him. Then the system activates again. Civilization experience, plus 380, level up, and Ethan finally understands the second half of his ability. He doesn't gain experience from killing monsters. He gains experience from protecting the civilization he's building. The monsters themselves aren't the reward. Keeping his people alive is. The villagers gather around Ethan, relieved that they're safe. At least for tonight. But this attack changes something. The people now know Ethan wasn't lying. He gave them homes, and when danger came, he stood in front of them. From that point on, the settlement begins exploding in size. More residents arrive. More buildings go up. The village turns into a real town. Markets fill with people. Defensive walls rise around the perimeter. And now Ethan isn't just building houses. He's planning an entire city. He negotiates for steel to reinforce the walls. Blacksmiths work non-stop. Every new structure strengthens the settlement. Every improvement gives Ethan more experience. And eventually, the situation becomes almost ridiculous. While hunters are risking their lives inside dangerous dungeons trying to gain another level, Ethan is sitting in an office signing construction permits. Then the system casually appears. Level 15 becomes level 16. Ethan can barely hide the smile on his face. Why are those guys working so hard in dungeons? Apparently paperwork is enough for him, but the larger Ethan's territory becomes, the harder it is for powerful people to ignore it. Eventually, government forces arrive. A commander walks straight into Ethan's city with armed soldiers behind him and announces that the land is now under city jurisdiction. In other words, Ethan did the hard part. He took worthless land, he rebuilt it, he attracted residents, he defended it from monsters, and now that it's valuable, someone else wants it. The commander tells Ethan to pack his bags. Ethan doesn't move. Instead, he asks the commander a very simple question. Did he pay for the land? No. Did he protect it? No. Then Ethan tells him to leave. The commander clearly isn't used to being spoken to like that, but with the entire settlement watching, he doesn't start a battle. Not yet. Instead, he retreats with a warning. 3 days. Ethan has 3 days before they return and take the city by force. That would already be bad enough. But apparently Ethan's luck has decided he hasn't suffered enough today. Before those 3 days are even over, the sky tears open. A gigantic crimson gate appears above the region. Ethan looks up as monsters begin pouring from it, and the system confirms exactly how serious this is. Civilization emergency detected. City destroyer gate. Threat level. Catastrophic. This isn't another wolf pack. If Ethan loses here, there won't be a settlement left for the government to steal. But instead of ordering everyone to run, Ethan activates a new plan. Fortress City. Immediately, the entire population goes to work. Workers reinforce the gates. Blacksmiths hammer weapons and steel nonstop. Every person who can contribute is given something to do. Ethan moves between them, giving orders and preparing defenses, and as the monster army approaches, he tells everyone the same thing. Hold the line. Then a gigantic golden barrier forms around the entire city. For the first time, the settlement Ethan started from a pile of ruins actually looks capable of surviving an army. But the monsters don't stop. They slam against the defenses over and over. Ethan thanks the people fighting beside him because by now, this isn't his project anymore. It's their home, and the system notices that too. Civilization unity begins rising, 74%, then higher. As the citizens fight together, the city itself becomes stronger. Monsters smash into the golden barrier, but it holds. Then Ethan notices another notification. Hidden condition. Unity reaching peak. He has no idea what happens when that reaches 100%. But judging by the system, something massive is about to unlock. Civilization unity reaches 99.1%. The entire system begins shaking. Golden interfaces surround Ethan. Energy starts pouring through the city. And then the hidden evolution finally activates. Founder is deleted. A new title appears. Lord. Ethan looks at the word and suddenly understands what his class has been building toward this entire time. This isn't just construction. This isn't just a settlement. The system is turning him into the ruler of a civilization. His land, his people, his empire. And with the new title comes one final construction. Behind Ethan, golden energy explodes upward. The ground shakes. A gigantic humanoid guardian begins forming inside the city's defenses. This thing towers over the walls like a living fortress. Ethan stands beneath it, holding the same shovel he started with. Except now, nobody is laughing. The giant guardian looks toward the invading army and delivers a simple warning. They are trespassing, and Ethan is done merely surviving. He grips his glowing shovel and rushes forward, because somewhere between being laughed out of his awakening and building an entire city, Ethan's goal changed. He didn't start all of this just to survive anymore. He started it to rule, and as golden power erupts around him, Ethan launches himself toward the enemy. Now there's only one question left. If turning a ruined village into a city made him this powerful, what happens when Ethan builds an entire kingdom?